Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Firelink Podcast, episode number 28 for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. My name is Marty Sleva, as always, joined by Nick Calandra, Casey Wosu, producer Eric. We got no time for chitter chatters because it's a good show. We actually got newsies. We got newsies. A couple small newsies, including Nintendo stealth dropping a little teaser for what seems like a first-party M-rated horror game, and no one knows what this thing is. It's got a strange little bagman on it, so we're going to try to unpack. We're going to try to figure out what's going on. It could be very exciting, but it also could be very bad. So we're going to let you know both those things. And also in the realm of strange things, Palworld. Remember Palworld?
Dude.
Oh yeah.
Only 90s kids remember Palworld because I feel like I forgot Palworld existed, but the industry did not because there's a new Palworld Entertainment Group that has formed with Pocket Pair, Sony Music Entertainment, and Aniplex, who you guys might know is the studio behind Demon Slayer and other big anime like that. So what does that mean for the future of Palworld? We'll talk about that. And then our main story, as you can see right here in the headline and whatnot, Xbox. Just the true Charlie Browns of the video game industry have a really strong conference. Well, first they have a really bad we're laying a bunch of people off and shuttering a bunch of studios you love. And then they have a pretty good conference, and then they follow it up with by the way, we are kind of destroying Game Pass in front of your eyes, but don't worry about it, we have plans. So breaking down the big Xbox Game Pass shakeup and what that means going forward for Xbox and also for sort of subscription services like this. And then of course stuff we've been playing and watching. How are you guys? We did it. We got to Wednesday.
Nice. Well done.
The week is over.
I can turn my head mostly both
Congratulations.
ways.
Look at that. Congratulations. Mobility is returning after your technically that was a workplace industry.
Tell KC how that meeting went, because that was pretty funny.
I mean, we had one final thing to talk about, and it was going to be the most contentious thing of the meeting. And the second Jack started talking about it, Nick goes, and I thought he faked an injury, which like honestly strong play of like faking an injury in a meeting to
get out of the meeting.
Yeah, or gain sympathy. Like, well, I'm gonna side with Nick on this one because he's hurt. But no, he's old, and we're all getting older, and these pains happen every time Nick makes a joke about us being old and him being young. Just remember the pain you felt, and remember that's all left going forward.
There are a couple of ailments we can point at to prove that Nick is older than us in spirit and body.
The constant diarrhea.
I mean, there's that.
I was half of this call talking about big old diarrhea. We're 6 minutes into the call. I guess one was beforehand, but spoilers, wasn't me and Casey. Sorry for throwing you under the bus, Eric. Frozen pizza's great. How are you doing, Casey?
I'm doing great. I wanted to ask how you guys' 4th of July went, because it kind of screwed up my week. Like,
same.
Yeah, like we did Firelink, right? Last
felt
week.
Like the week should be over.
Yeah.
It's like Thursday's done. The week should be over, but then I guess we have to go back to work on Friday and still do some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it feels like that's 2 weeks ago, but it was only last week. And so, like, I haven't talked, like, none of us, I think, have mentioned what our 4th of July plans were since then. So I'm a little curious if you guys went and did anything.
Not this year. I hung out with some friends on Saturday, but it wasn't for 4th of July stuff. But there were fireworks going on everywhere. It was just every night. For like 7 days straight, there was just fireworks everywhere.
Yeah,
like,
that's just,
I guess
America
Thursday's
now.
a weird 4th of July because some people did it the week beforehand and some people did it the week afterhand.
It's like Christmas, you celebrate it earlier and earlier.
Sure, yeah, right. I don't, as like an adult, I don't get the 4th of July anymore. As a kid, I used to like fireworks and parades. And then in like college, it would just be an excuse to like get drunk outside. Like,
sure,
you can day drink and no one can judge you except for all the people judging you. But now, as like an adult, I'm like, what are we doing?
It's just a free day, which is always something to celebrate, right?
That is true. Every month needs a few free days.
Yeah, they're very helpful, and the fact that when they like just lean ever so close to the weekend, a lot of companies and people will just be like, all right, we'll just take the whole rest of the week off then, so we don't have to worry about this. So like that, I technically didn't do that, but since everybody else did, I didn't have to do anything throughout the week, and I still got my normal pay. So great, awesome.
Do you let your son shoot off fireworks yet?
We did that a couple years ago, like the ground ones, because the fireworks, like even the ones that shoot in the air, are legal in my state, and so people take full advantage of that nonsense.
Oh yeah,
and it's a little scary sometimes because you'll be like, "Is that a gunshot?" No, they're just shooting fireworks.
The legal thing is so silly because in the Midwest, at least Wisconsin and Illinois have pretty strict fireworks laws, but Indiana does not. And Indiana's like just across the border from Chicago. And so you could just drive for like 20 minutes and be like, all right, I could buy enough to go to war. And it's perfectly legal.
If I recall, I think at least in Nebraska and other states in the Midwest, there's not even like laws around like what kind of fireworks. They just can't pass a certain like TNT level or whatever. Like they
I feel like the TNT level of fireworks should be 0 because that's dynamite. That's what old timey miners used to blow up mountains.
There were literally people in my old neighborhood that would like throw dynamite in the sewer, and you would just hear boom. What the fuck was that? It's like,
I mean, that doesn't sound like it had anything to do with 4th of July. That just sounds like terrorist activity.
And Nick's neighbor was Timothy McVeigh, the Unabomber. No, not the Unabomber. They'll call him a city bomber. Fuck, wrong bomber. We had a couple bombers. Him and Ted Kaczynski.
There are too many bombers.
You know who the worst one is? Bomberman.
Bomberman's probably one of the best ones. He uses his bomb.
He bombs for good. He bombs for good.
Yes. He's a patriot. We should celebrate him on the 4th of July.
Mousecatcher asks, where was this? Nebraska? Yeah, it was in Nebraska.
Well, I got some good Nebraska stories coming up. And let me tell you, spoilers.
Have you even been
it's
to
from
Nebraska?
The film Twister. It's from the film Twister. Yeah, driven through Nebraska on many occasions. Yeah. No, it's from the film Twister. And now that I think about it, it might have been Oklahoma, so I don't think I have any Nebraska stories. Before we get started...
Frost just twitched somewhere.
I don't think... does anyone care if you get their states mixed up? I don't care if you get my states mixed up. You call me Minnesota, Michigan, fucking Florida, I don't care. You call me Florida, you just don't understand geography, but other than that...
Yeah, that's a rough one.
And they're both peninsulas.
They are both peninsulas, that's true. Little penis dangling off there into the Caribbean.
Peninsulas.
Penins? That was really good. I'm gonna write it down in my diary.
My neck.
Your diary. Casey did a great goof, and then Nick was in pain. Before we get started with our main news stories, we just want to let you guys know, first off, of course, this show and the rest of everything you love at Second Wind is funded so much by your generous patronage over on Patreon, your super chats, your donos, your merch purchases, with more on merch coming very soon. And that helps fund new projects like The Rewind, which is our 4th podcast, which launched yesterday. So every other week at noon Central on Tuesdays, some combination of myself, Darren, Jack, and soon to be just a lot of other people, because I'm not going to be here for the second episode, are going to gather just to talk about movies and entertainment and anime. And yesterday I kept wanting to talk about Quibbies, but no one else wanted to talk about Quibbies, which was kind of a bummer.
It's dead. Leave it alone.
You know, we talk about a lot of George Washington. We talk about him. He passed away.
Do we?
I mean,
when was the last time George Washington was brought up?
Hamilton. Was he in Hamilton? Yeah, he had to have been in Hamilton.
Was he in Hamilton?
My name is Washington. I drink the Saucington. Hamilton. That's Hamilton. So check out that first episode, and we appreciate you tuning into all of our stuff, including Prinny Dude with a $5 dono right off the bat. Thank you so much, Prinny Dude. A company that trained its base to not buy games now expects them to buy games. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Spoilers, it won't. We're going to get there in a little bit, and I feel similar. As a big fan of Game Pass, and as someone... Game Pass to me is like Movie Pass, and we'll talk about why. We talked about Movie Pass earlier, and let me tell you, I don't like that they're very similar. But the first news story, there isn't a whole lot to chew on here, but this is the Nintendo thing I was talking about. I'm linking a VGC article. So Nintendo, just on their main channels this morning, just released this little 15-second teaser with the hashtag #WhoIsEmio, EMIO. This thing doesn't have a name. We don't know what this is, but it features a scary, kind of a spooky Bagman. He reminded me of like a full-size Little Nightmare. Okay. I don't think this is nightmare. Like large nightmares, regular nightmare. But it was on the Nintendo official channel, so everyone assumes like this is, and it was on no other channel, so everyone assumes this is a first or second party or Nintendo published project, and it has an M rating, but this is literally all we know about it. And so people are like, why didn't they talk about this like 2 weeks ago when they had their
Right,
big
yeah, they just had
showcase?
that. Yeah.
Is this something for Switch? Is this something for the next console? Is this a thing that's going to be on other places and just happened to debut here? And two different avenues went for. Well, first off, like Nintendo doesn't really have like a big M-rated scary thing. Like they dabbled a little bit in like the GameCube era with your Eternal Darknesses and your Geists and whatnot.
Mhm.
But you know, especially since the Wii U, and now on the Switch, most of their first party stuff is family friendly or sort of like young adult adventure themed. Like, you know, Tears of the Kingdom isn't that mature of a story. Like anyone could play their games. So that feels a little bit different from the rest of their oeuvre. But then also there's two different paths here. One was that people dug into a little bit, and a while ago, Bloober Team said that they are working on an exclusive Switch game. And so everyone was immediately like, fucking hell, this is Bloober Team. You've done it to us again. How do you can't keep getting away with this Bloober Team? But then another insider said it's not the Bloober Team game. But then a lot of folks
said it was.
Yeah,
so that's
all these
confusing thing.
insiders.
But this is what I'm convincing myself until I immediately get disappointed when they announce it's the Bloober Team game, is that a ton of Team Silent, like the Silent Hill team, including the director of Silent Hill 2, now works at Goodfeel, which is the Nintendo-owned company that makes like Yoshi's Crafted World, and most recently made Princess Peach Showtime Star Spangled Adventure a few months ago. Like the original Silent Hill DNA is at that studio, so I have convinced myself that we have two separate games in the works from OG Silent Hill people, and it's Slitterhead and it's Baghead, and I'm ready for both of them.
I like that conspiracy theory, because it would mean that that studio were saddled with the stuff like the Yoshi game and the Princess Peach game, but were like maybe working on this on the side, and it got to a point where they were like, "Hey, Nintendo bosses, look at this. Can we do anything with this?" It was like, "Shit, that's actually pretty good." Yeah, well, fine. Let's find a window.
Also, we
put
actually
it out.
finished it because it does not take very long to make this Peach game. we cranked that out like half a year, and we spent the rest of the time working on Scary Bag.
Right, like they're desperately trying to find their way out of having to make more Peach games.
Yeah,
I feel like Nintendo never puts out cryptic teasers like this, so it's got to be something kind of big for them.
agreed. Yeah, the one cryptic nature of Nintendo is they never say who's working on a game. Like literally, all of these, like leading up to the Brothership Mario and Luigi game, we're all going to be like, wonder who's developing this. Like, we'll find out when the credits roll. And so people are like, they're doing that because of Bloober Team. And I'm like, no, they've been doing that for fucking ever. Like, it's not just because Bloober Team. Also, Nintendo doesn't know what people on the internet get mad at. Like, Nintendo doesn't know that people don't like Bloober Team. Like, I don't understand what's going on. They probably think that Bloober Team is like in reference to Bloober the squid from Mario, and they're like, thank you for honoring our Bloober, who might be named Blooper. I'm not sure what his name is.
I didn't know he had a name. I'll be honest.
The little, you know, the squid man.
I do know that squid. I do not know his name though.
Yeah,
might have been I know. Like Bloober Team has become kind of a meme, but I feel like not enough people have even played their games to be that mad at them.
Yeah, I would say the majority probably don't know who Bloober Team is.
I doubt many people. I know not that many people played Layers of Fear. Observer was pretty well liked.
Observer's pretty good, and
the medium. I mean, they advertised it as a Silent Hill like, and it was nothing like it. So
no, it felt like oh yeah, no, this is a Silent Hill like from someone who didn't really understand Silent Hill, which is like, that's fine. And then when they're like, we're doing Silent Hill 2,
and now they're doing Silent Hill. So
no,
that's not the right. Just hates Bloober Team because it's a meme and not because they actually
don't understand it this time.
Bloober Team's well, that's the worst part is like, if the game isn't good, oh man, we made the meme true. Shit.
You know what? They are a Polish developer, and as I always say, Poland, #1 food in the world. You can quote me on that. That's a lie.
You're on video refuting that exact statement.
You could, you know what? Depending on the day you catch me, I still say I'm like the spoilers. I'm like the guy in the Prestige, and I'm twins. You don't know which one of me is on stream any day.
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but last week when we were talking about like how I got back into games media with Daniel Dwyer being out in Poland, somebody in the Discord was like, Poland's the reason Second Wind exists. Take that, Marty.
It's probably Tommy Salty or Urbanum or
Yeah.
Snake in the Garden, because those are the three people I offended with my comments, and I apologize to all of them. I'm going to commit Polish seppuku, which is stabbing myself in the belly with a big old sausage link. Ren Momo with a $15 dono. Thank you so much. I paint miniatures, and now I feel a lot more kinship with the core gaming audience than I have before, as every year the cost of minis go up. 10 Space Marines for $60. 10 dudes or Elden Ring. Hobbies are expensive.
Hobbies are expensive.
Hobbies are really
consequently 10 dudes. It's kind of cheap.
Yeah. I mean, what are we doing with these dudes? Like, what kinds of? You know what's crazy? How just like regular ass action figures have gone up. Like, I used to, as a kid, I had like a bunch of X-Men toys, the Star Wars toys and stuff. And they weren't like crazy expensive. It was like a couple dollars a toy. I could get one, a couple for my birthday or something. And I just walked through Target the other day, and it's like just a regular ass action figure is like $20. What are we doing? What are we doing? How are you going to build a roster of dudes to fight each other on the floor of your bedroom?
That's the real inflation everybody's mad about, not food. The action figures.
I mean, games are also
your market's in shambles.
Like I always see old ads from like Toys R Us and KB Toys that it's like Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for the Super Nintendo, $85.99. Like that's some crazy shit going on there.
They were kind of wilding back then.
Well, that's probably
going up.
They probably cost so much less because they probably use lead paint on all of them.
Well, it was Nintendo games. Nintendo games were expensive because there was the cartridges, right? Like,
there's probably lead in those too. They had to blow it out all the time.
You were just blowing you were just absorbing the lead air every time you're doing it. Gotta love huffing the lead. Speaking of huffing, exactly. Speaking of huffing the lead, the other news story, the Palverse. We're entering the Palverse now, and there's nothing we can do about it. So in a tweet last night, the Pocket Pair, the developer of Palworld, released a statement saying the Pocket Pair is excited to announce a joint venture with Sony Music Entertainment Japan and Aniplex to establish Palworld Entertainment with the purpose of accelerating the multifaceted global development of Palworld and its further expansions. The first response I saw, which was pretty funny, was that so they're partnering with Sony, but this game's not out on PlayStation yet. Sony Music Entertainment Japan is like a big company that isn't just music. Like they literally own Aniplex, I believe. So my two thoughts is maybe this is an inroad for that game to come out on PlayStation, because it's still, I mean, I'm imagining Xbox just signed a whatever exclusivity.
Probably. Yeah, it's probably coming as soon as it can.
Yeah. But then my other immediate thought is like, oh, with Aniplex, like they're gonna try to turn this into an anime, which at that point I'm like, man, what is like this is just Pokemon.
Actually,
are you gonna make like a Palworld card game as well? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like this wouldn't be the first time that a Pokemon copycat like worked. Like they're not treading like unfamiliar, like terrible territory. Like there's a good chance that if they make something that's even a little bit interesting in this vein, that they can strike a little bit of gold. Like maybe not Pokemon levels, but like you can make a lot of money copying this formula. Palworld is the only one of these as of today that has this kind of buzz, even though the game itself has kind of faltered a bit. Like there's still like a bunch of people playing it. And it does have name recognition based on all the other people who've tried it and have let it go by the wayside. If you see like in a 2026, 2027 anime reel stuff coming drop in the spring, the Palworld anime with all the same silly shenanigans of like Pokemon looking things, but like crazy anime sword fights and gunfights and shit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch that. Like I'm not gonna ignore it completely. So I think this is actually a good idea. It's a good pivot, because if this just stayed a game, I think a lot of the wind has gone out of those sales. So like you might as well try and ship this in like other directions.
Yeah, and I feel like they could have easily just announced a quick cash grab anime with someone who's like, we can turn this around by the fall. Like this was a hit in January, and we can turn around a season of this on Crunchyroll by the fall. But the fact that they're partnering with someone, this is probably going to take a while. Like Aniplex, like this is not something we're going to see this year. We're not going to see the fruits of this year. So I think it does show some foresight that they think they're in it for the long haul. And like you said, Casey, like, Pokemon helped, breed a generation of similar multimedia properties, whether it was like Digimon making the move from the little pocket games or whatever to full on multimedia thing, leading into Yu-Gi-Oh! And then even stuff like Yokai Watch further on down the road. So, I don't know. For as big, it always amazes me for as big as something like Palworld was, how it just feels like it hasn't left any lingering cultural footprint. And maybe that's just because we have to cover the next big thing every fucking day. But it just doesn't feel like it really ever escaped the bubble of that moment in the way we still kind of talk about like Helldivers and stuff, and you still hear people talk about Balatro a little bit, like as like the early hits of this year. I just don't hear anyone mention Palworld. Like, is this still being updated? Like, is there?
Yeah, they just did a whole new map. I think
they're adding new pals in it too. Either it's coming soon or it came recently.
Yeah, well, they've continually added new pals to it, but yeah, I think it's more. This game's just outside of our audience for the most part.
Which honestly, if I go to the Steam top 10 list, it's most games outside of my. It's most of those games are outside of my. Zone hearing.
Yeah, I think it's probably had more of an impact than we realize. We just don't focus.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. It was it was impossible to ignore when it first landed because it was everywhere, and then once it just settled down to its normal player base, which is massive. Like most games would kill to have that normal player base. It just became a thing that you don't really think about. And the engine keeps moving.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of these survival crafting games. They start huge and then they whittle down to their core, very hardcore audience that spend years playing these games. That's why they love them.
I literally cannot fathom playing a game for years.
I'm back on.
How many times have you played Banjo-Kazooie?
Yeah,
no, I'm playing it again. I'm not playing it continually. It's so different. It's so rude of you to even bring that up.
It's just an entire year. Like
we should just end the show now. That was so rude of you. Why are you both being so rude?
You just caught him with his pants completely.
But he's so rude.
He's really upset.
Rude.
The hypocrisy is all I'm saying.
It's a Wednesday night. Let's go back and talk about 4th of July. Remember that Bill Pullman speech?
I didn't even get to say what I went and did. We just skipped it.
Oh, we did kind of just skip it.
You went to the golf range and you hurt yourself.
No,
you didn't say it on the podcast. You just told me.
I didn't even go on July 4th to that. No, I went to a rooftop and swam in a pool, drank beer.
Was the pool on the rooftop?
Yeah.
Nice.
Had barbecue food and then watched.
Was the
barbecue sauce in the pool?
No, but somebody dropped an egg roll in the pool.
Party foul.
Did everyone think it was a little poo?
Maybe. I don't know.
I thought it was poo.
And then we watched the fireworks from like a 360-degree view up on top of a skyscraper. So that was cool. Because the Midwest is flat, you can see everything.
This is where your super chat money's going to, everyone.
Go to Midwest Fireworks.
I didn't buy any fireworks.
You should have. It's rude not to. You should have just brought a handgun. Like I got my real fireworks right here.
I mean, I'm sure every 4th of July there are lots of people in Missouri that just like to shoot their guns in the air, which is not good, but you know.
Where the bullets go? Do they go to space or do they come down?
Oh, they come down.
All right. I was just wondering. I'm just out here asking questions. The only one brave enough just to ask the questions. A couple super chats before we move on to and then people were asking, you hurt yourself on a golf course. No, you think you might have originally tweaked it.
Okay, so let me explain this one because this is going to make people look at me differently. So we were at like a Top Golf equivalent, which you haven't been there. It's a driving range, but like there's rings out in the field to like basically score the balls depending on where you hit them, which also that technology is kind of crazy that it can track a ball from wherever you're hitting it from and just know where it goes. Mostly knows where it goes. It definitely like stole a lot of points from me when I was doing okay. But anyways,
it definitely wasn't your fault.
The game was cheating. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm a hockey player. I shoot lefty. But golf I do right and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why. So anyways, I was just not having a good
day. Land you wipe with?
Both.
What? You stumping it out of there?
Just wanted to see your reaction.
No, isn't that like your dominant hand you wipe with?
Yeah, right. There you go. TMI.
I could have been vulgar and talked about cranking, but I didn't. I talked about wiping. So,
well, all right.
I don't like any of these questions, to be fair.
But I was
someone who's too afraid to admit what hand they wipe with.
I was swinging golf the correct way with two hands, and I wasn't hitting shit. I was just spiking it, all this crap. So I was like, whatever. I looked back at my roommate, and I'm like, I'm just gonna try this. And I started one-handing it, and I fucking was hitting that ball 100, 140 yards, just one hand swinging. which made no sense to anybody around
Donkey
us.
Kong
But that's what was
and
going
Mario
on.
Golf does that.
Yeah, I was literally hitting it like Donkey Kong. So, the fact that this shoulder is fucked up, my neck is fucked up, probably had something to do with me one-handing the golf balls.
Huh. You know what? It's a good theory.
I use my journalism detective skills to figure that one out.
You should have used that beforehand and realized it was a bad idea and not to do it.
It's just a bad idea to go golfing in general.
No, that's true.
Top golf is fun though. A lot of top golf, mozzarella sticks. Just think about that. An activity is only as good as its appetizers.
That's true. This place that I go to has very good mozzarella sticks.
See? Listen.
Is that place a strip club?
Drago says, "Damn, Nick's got wankers cramp then."
Cramp. Classic
Dead 42 donates $2 as Nick injured himself one-handing his balls.
No,
we jumped super chats. You know who feels bad right now? Orange Kitty, Zoe, and Jewel. I want to personally apologize to Orange Kitty, Zoe, and Jewel.
We're sorry,
That's
y'all.
I'm sorry. Nick's also sorry. He just laughed like a fucking Beavis.
Not sorry.
Jura with a €2 dono. Thank you so much. This podcast is my comfort food. Here is some money. And then I think it was like a turnip and a little fart.
No, that's a peach emoji, which solidifies that is indeed a fart.
That is indeed a fart. I thought it was a turnip. I don't know. I don't know my produce. And Zoe, thank you so much for a $5 dono. Been a hot minute since I caught one of these live. Have some change for the Prime Trilogy Fund. Thanks for the entertainment. Thank you so much, Zoe.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as you see, our current funding goal is, listen, I just said as we see. I'm assuming it's in the corner. Eric knows he's going on. It's probably in the corner.
It's there.
Yeah, our next funding goal is Casey and I jamming through the Metroid Prime games after we finish Devil May Cry, which I believe tomorrow we're doing the DMC DLC.
Yes, what a great line.
That's good.
Just sequence of letters.
Using it in the headline. And then afterwards, Devil May Cry 5, and then after that, we'll be going on to Metroid. So thank you so much for those donos, as well as Orange Kitty, been a member for 6 months with a $2 dono. What's your guys' favorite pasta / sauce?
Pasta / sauce. Huh.
Like, I guess, what's your favorite noodle?
Pasta
What
and
type of
favorite
sauce? Would you say regular?
No. I was you answered it. I was wondering if they were asking about specific like noodle types.
I'm assuming a noodle and a sauce. So if you combine, you make it a lasagna? Is that what you said?
No. Well, no. I just God damn it. I like linguine the best with a vodka sauce.
Remind me what linguine is. It's like a kind of spaghetti, right?
It's like a thicker spaghetti, but not too thin spaghetti. It's like the perfect
like flat spaghetti.
A little flatter and a little wider than spaghetti.
Yeah, chode spaghetti.
No.
No. There's more chode. There's more chode-like noodles.
Oh, that's true.
There's definitely more chode-like noodles. Yeah.
In case you can't tell, my favorite noodle is spaghetti.
It could be spaghetti. Listen,
spaghetti is my favorite noodle.
There's a reason.
Be real basic. Tomato sauce, best sauce.
People yesterday were talking about putting ketchup on their spaghetti.
What?
Why would you do that?
Are they in our chat right now? Are they here?
A couple people are in chat. Now, I don't want to call them out by name, but Fungus Finder was one of them. Fucking little freakadeek. I don't know what's going on over there. What is going on over there? Just wild.
That's wild.
What's your ad on Twitter, Fungus Finder? Let me get after you.
Yeah, just real crazy. There you go. Angel hair is really good too, Sean Harriman. I like my noodles real thin. I like a noodle so thin you can't even see it. You just have to like assume it exists.
You just inhale it like with a gas mask.
That's how you like. Oh, Fungus Fighter, was it not you? Sorry, man, I really threw you under the bus there, and it wasn't you. I think you were in that conversation. So you took some shrapnel there. My apologies.
My new thing was with spaghetti is from MasterChef and mixing with creme fraiche, zucchini, and Italian chicken.
They got chickens in Italy?
They do.
They import them.
Where?
To the auditory
from Kentucky. I don't know.
From Kentucky. Do they unfry them?
They reverse engineered those Kentucky chickens.
Shout out to KFC. Do you see everyone knows their spices now? They don't have any secrets anymore.
Secrets out
to me. Secret's out. Colonel Sanders is rolling in his Confederate grave right now. Let's go.
I'll say.
Let's go. Say. It's just Foghorn Leghorn. Okay, before we get to the main topic, Orange Kitty, one more $5 dono. Thank you so much. Also, Nick, what do you think of the Red Wings off-season moves?
They picked up Vladimir Tarasenko, so I'm interested to see how that goes. The rest of it, we'll see. I don't know. I trust Steve Yzerman to do the right thing. None of you know the names I'm talking about.
I know Steve Yzerman. Yzerman used to be a player, right?
Yeah,
starts with a Y.
The Vladimir, yeah, he's that president that everybody hates.
Russia. He's a shirtless dude with a bunch of muscles.
See, if I bring
a horse
hockey,
kills journalists.
Me bringing up hockey is like when you bring up your rap beefs.
I mean, I guess, but only the thing I was talking about was like one of the biggest things in entertainment media at the time. But go off.
Well, yeah, you got me there.
Listen, hockey got the draft in the Orb. Kendrick didn't go to the Orb yet.
Not yet. He'll make it.
Who's more
like
likely to be
hockey
first in the
highlights.
Orb, Kendrick or Drake? I feel like Drake is more likely to Orb.
Steve
first.
Yzerman.
Drake
Yzerman already orbed. It was 2 weeks ago. They did the draft there.
He's retired. He's the coach, or he's the general manager of the Red Wings.
But he's part of an
definitely
institution.
at the draft then.
Yeah, he's part of an institution that has orb access, so he's good.
Yeah, he's orb adjacent. Like a dick. Let's talk about the main topic.
Real questions. Hold on. Eric's asking the real questions. Why is the Red Wings a logo with tire with wings? Because Detroit is Motor City.
The Motor City, yeah.
I don't know where the wings came from. I'm assuming.
I mean, they're in the name. Like, that's self-explanatory.
That one's the easy one.
Well, I don't know what it represents.
Red Wings. Isn't it a bird? Isn't a red wing a bird?
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, I don't know, actually. I'm curious why there are two MLB teams that are named after socks.
Red Sox and White Sox?
Yeah, what's that about?
And when the White Sox were caught cheating, it was called the Black Sox scandal.
That's...
What?
Is that clever? I don't think that's clever.
It was clever in like the early 1900s. Clever had a real low bar. Shakespeare, there was a little blip when Shakespeare was alive in cleverness, and then it was like they were at a real low point for clever, and so Black Sox probably blew everyone's mind as they were getting shipped off to World War I. We gotta talk about Game Pass now. No one can bring up anything else. We have to talk about Game Pass. So our main topic is, like we mentioned, a big shake up at Xbox when it comes to Game Pass. So they are there's like a lot of different things. So now there are 4 different, and this is coming on the heels, obviously, of the Activision acquisition, which they've said Call of Duty is coming to Game Pass, and that is huge. Like, that is arguably the biggest selling game of the year, probably, is going to launch on Game Pass. And so everyone assumed, ooh, you're definitely going to be raising the price of this thing. And not only are they doing that, but they're also creating different tiers of it. I'm going to share a tweet with y'all that sort of, so I have that Verge article that breaks it down, and then Clobriel. Man, his name is hard to say. You're right. I had a nice little breakdown of the various tiers. So there are now 4 tiers of Game Pass. There's Game Pass Core, Game Pass Standard, Game Pass Ultimate, and then over here is PC Game Pass, which is its weird little different thing. And they are now splitting up. Like, Core is ostensibly Xbox Live Gold.
Right.
First off, Core, Standard, Core, having things called Core and Standard, those are synonyms. That is some Starbucks naming shit. Like, Core and Standard are those both represent the same thing.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They back themselves into a corner. Yeah, here, yes.
Yeah, a corner.
A corner.
Yeah. And so if you have Xbox Game Pass Core, which is going to be $10 a month, you are going to be able to play online. You will be able to, there's a small catalog of like games that you can play, like 25 games, just in terms of like free games, and then some discounts. But then for Standard, which is $15 a month, you get all those things, plus the Game Pass catalog, but that is not going to include the day one first party games anymore. In order to get day one first party games, you are going to need to be a subscriber to either Game Pass Ultimate, which is $20 a month, or the PC Game Pass, which is $12 a month. And those will still get you your day one first party Xbox game. So that's where you're going to get Call of Duty and Indiana Jones, and you're going to get your Gears and your South of Midnight and all those games we saw. However, if you are already grandfathered in to the regular Game Pass, I believe you are fine, and you do not
for like the length of your service.
No, I think it's like is it forever? I don't know. It is very confusing, and I think that is a feature, not a bug, because in my mind, this feels like Xbox quietly admitting that Game Pass did not go the way they hoped. They kind of reached out for short-term success, and in doing so, harmed themselves long-term. And I think they've kind of devalued the idea of what ownership of an Xbox game means. I will be the first one to say I have not bought a first-party Xbox game since Game Pass, since they started doing this.
But you've been an Ultimate subscriber since then.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to do a quick comparison here. So, what was Xbox? What's all right? Xbox Core. How much is that per month?
10.
Okay, and Xbox Standard.
15.
And the Ultimate.
Ultimate's 20.
Okay, so PS Plus Essential 10, PS Plus Extra 15, PS Plus Premium $18 a month. You don't get first party day one games with any of those.
Well, Sony doesn't make first party games anymore.
Yeah. All right. So no, okay. I think yeah, knowing that, putting those side by side, I feel like the reaction might be a little overreactive to the pricing changes of this, because like you're paying $2 more for Xbox and you do get their first party exclusives. But yeah, I don't know. I can see people are always upset when there's price increases. Obviously, we're in a different space, or we have access to these things and all that, and we need it for our jobs, so different. But I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't do this sooner, and I think people were saying kind of even at the very beginning of Game Pass, like putting day one exclusives was probably a bad idea, even though it's really good for the consumer.
It was a short-term win for a long-term loss, in my opinion. It felt like on the Rewind this week, we talked about Movie Pass, which was a thing 7 or 8 years ago or so, where you would pay a very small amount a month. And I think at first signing up, it was $10 a month. And you got this credit card. And the credit card, you could just keep swiping at movie theaters. You could just keep going to movies. And I was living in San Francisco at the time, and movies like an IMAX at night on the weekends would be like $24. And for that $10 a month, this thing just had no bottom. It was insane. And it was one of those things where I kept telling people to sign up for it, and they were like, is it a scam? And I'm like, at this moment, it is not a scam, but it is built on a house of cards that is going to tumble quickly. So get in now and get out when I tell you. And it was great. It was like the closest I felt to committing like a RICO crime. It was one of the most exciting things. But I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, this is never going to last.
Like this just isn't sustainable, right?
No, and I feel the same way with Game Pass. Of this is almost too good to be true in terms of the value for the consumer, but it is also sort of in the same way that I think a lot of streaming services, Netflix and HBO Max and Hulu and everything, it's kind of devaluing the cost. It's devaluing art. Like the Xbox mentality is now, I'll get it when it comes to Game Pass, I feel like. Whereas like the Sony or the Nintendo mindset is like, oh, the new game is here. This is exciting. We're all going to get around and play that. It's
kind of funny because you bring that up. It's kind of funny thinking back to the used game conversation and how everybody's worried about losing money.
Yeah.
And then we're like, let's just give them the free through their subscription service. I don't know, guys. Circle of that.
I feel a little differently. Like, yes, this has gotten very muddy, but even with the price increase, and again, we all expected this after the acquisition because they were going to be putting a lot more stuff into that catalog. We expected the price increase. I think it is still of great value to the consumer, and I'm more surprised that based on all of this sort of panicking, it seems like from them internally, that they're sticking with it. They're not saying, all right, it was a failure, we're going to go back to a different model. They're like, no, this is still Game Pass. We're just going to shake up this, that, and the third. The worst of this, honestly, is the fact that standard, which is if you were just a console player and you wanted Game Pass for your console, that seems to force you into Ultimate to get the day one thing, which it feels like you should have access to that if you just own a console and don't want, the PC stuff or the the extracurriculars like the cloud gaming and the EA access or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that seems weird. But otherwise, all of these other Splinter things were to serve a purpose. Like PC players felt left out. So like, all right, here's one for you. And then people who were like, hey, I actually don't want this catalog. I just want to be able to play online. They're like, all right, here's one for you. So like these were reactions to people that this is what the people wanted, right? Those particular things weren't Xbox's idea. Xbox's original idea, which I still think is probably the best one, was to have literally everything in that catalog, and everyone who was playing video games is signed up. Like if you own an Xbox or if you want to play any of these games, you pay a monthly subscription and you just get all of them. If that had worked, I don't think we'd have this issue where we're wondering how much money they're losing. But like Marty was saying, with the Movie Pass thing, it sounds like a scam, and there are a lot of people who are just fully anti-Xbox just based on principle, and so they don't want to interact with this. They're like, I'm just going to keep doing things the old way rather than jump into this new thing, which would have given Microsoft, I think, the numbers to make it make sense for them, because they just needed a huge subscriber base, which is what Netflix had until everyone else decided to try and jump in their pool and muddy their waters. So this sort of thing works. The problem is when everyone else gets involved, or when not enough. The problem is when all the other companies get involved and not when enough consumers get involved. Because when you have the best deal, everyone should benefit from that. The fact that people are sitting on the sidelines saying like, no, I'm going to keep paying the premium because of whatever, then it makes that great deal kind of worthless.
Yeah, I'm two minds of it, because like I'm still thinking back to my Unpacked video I did a few weeks ago, where like how many people that play Call of Duty are actually going to sign up for Game Pass, because I feel like Xbox is banking hard on that a lot of people are going to sign up to Game Pass for Call of Duty. But as I said in that video, like people that play Call of Duty and the sports games, and that's really about it for the entire year. Like why sign up for $160 or $300, what is it for a year?
20 times 12, 240.
240, yeah. Brain farting. 240 a year for a subscription service where you play 3 games a year. I don't know.
I don't already own that console. If I own a PlayStation and it's like, hey, you could buy Call of Duty for $70, or you could buy a $400 Xbox and then pay $20 a month to get Call of Duty for free, you'd be like, well, I'm just going to pay $70 for Call of Duty, and then not worry about any of that. Or if you're a PC, what I think they're hoping on is get people in with Call of Duty and then introduce them to all these other games through the subscription service. Like, because Call of Duty is going to be the first real big, I mean, aside from Minecraft, is going to be the first like really big mainstream game on this service that's not, a more niche exclusive or whatever like that. I mean, the wild thing is, well, first off, IUPU with a $2 dono, thank you so much. It's still a good deal, but I bounce on and off Game Pass, which is also another thing that I know a lot of people with streaming services do. I know, like Frost was even talking about Apple. He's like waiting for that Apple time where he's like, okay, I'm going to take a week off, and then I'm just going to subscribe to Apple TV Plus, and I have my list of like 10 seasons of stuff, and then I'm going to go hog wild. So that is definitely like one of the ways to get around the idea of like it's not like a phone contract where you have to sign up for a few years. Like you're good, you're solid. Microsoft's like, they have the games now, which is funny, and we saw at their conference, like, and it's not just like their future lineup looks great, which a lot of cool stuff at their conference, but like currently, so NPD came out, which is the monthly chart for the best-selling games of each month, and this was last month's. This is an interesting chart. If you go to it, I put the link in the YouTube chat, because the best-selling game of last month was Ghost of Tsushima on PC, which is just what's happening there. Obviously, so showing the power of Sony bringing there's a huge audience who want their games, who don't own PlayStations and will just wait. The sixth best-selling game, Sea of Thieves. And so this is not counting Game Pass stuff. So Sea of Thieves on PlayStation is helping it become, and last month it was fourth. So 2 months in a row, it's been in the top 6 of the best selling games in NPD. So like they have these games, and then especially like you said with Minecraft, now that they have Call of Duty, you're gonna see that with stuff like, I guess they've been pretty cagey on what their multi-platform plan is for stuff like Indiana Jones or the next Elder Scrolls, or even if Starfield will ever go there. But I don't know. I feel like they are currently looking at what Game Pass is up to, the power their games have on other consoles, and then their future lineup, and just like I feel like they don't know what they're doing from here. I feel like there's like 4 alternate paths they could take, and they don't know which one to take at this moment.
I mean, my gut tells me they just want to be a mega publisher. They're gonna. I mean, they already are, but like a super mega publisher.
I mean, they're the most mega publisher. Right
now. Because as I've continually said, I think Xbox is the ecosystem. Basically, Xbox is just an access point now, just like your computer is, just like your mobile phone is, like your tablet. Now you can get Xbox Game Pass on the Fire Stick. They just want you to access their game catalog wherever it is. And so, I kind of tangential, like see if these come in the PlayStation. I fully think like State of Decay will come to PlayStation. I think like any of their like mass appeal type games are going to definitely show up on PlayStation.
Or multiplayer games,
yeah, and so those are the games that State of Decay has sold, I think, between 10 and 20 million copies as well. So it's done really good. So with Game Pass, I think it's just a matter of just getting people in as many different places as you can at this point.
Yeah, it's strange because also like Game Pass, like Casey said, Game Pass is still a really good deal, and they always have a good, like, again, we're seeing that they're finally getting their ass in gear with first party games, but there's just a constant drip of really cool indies, a lot of them at launch, or really rad games from like a year ago that get added. Like if I look at the most recently added games, stuff like the puzzle game Humanity that Casey and I love from last year, still waits to be launched on.
That's a good ass game.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you had Still Wakes the Deep, you had Hellblade. They just put Octopath Traveler 2 on there, Immortals of Avium, Chance of Xenar. Like there is, if someone just like woke up from a coma and is like, they're like, I want to get back into video games, what should I do? I would either give them a Switch, or I would be like, here's Game Pass, here's fucking 100 cool games from the last decade that you can play. Like legitimately some of the best games of the past decade are here. So it's still, I don't know, it's still a great service for me, the person who wants to play cool games and also still have money to not go bankrupt. But in terms of like financial stability, I just don't know how this could last, personally. Seems like it's been a losing effort since the beginning.
But wasn't that like since the beginning? And like the reason they were even able to try this experiment is because they are such a big ass company, right? Like
they're Microsoft. Yeah,
like they're subsidizing it with other, like Microsoft has never not made money, and it's hard to imagine that Microsoft, the company, will at some point just stop making money. So like really, like it's that curse of business that hampers this sort of thing, that makes them say, all right, well, if we're going to be doing this needs to be generating additional funds, as opposed to, well, we've done so much, like we make so much, let's give one back. let's just make our consumers happy, like, so that they like the product we make, like that's
but I think
I mean,
it's like a thing like Game Pass is able to skirt under the radar for a while until you like that can feel like money lost in a couch cushion. $75 billion on Activision is not. I don't care what company you are, that is not couch cushion money. So that is money where they're like, ooh, okay, you can have this money to buy your publisher. Now we're going to actually start paying attention to what you are doing, and like we are going to start checking these numbers. So I definitely think part of it has to be with like, with this deal going through, it's like, oh, you need to start showing results.
It was a bit of a gift and a curse, I guess. Like, yes, it is an even better deal, but now that deal has Johnny Business looking at it.
Oh no!
If they're bringing Activision's entire library to it, I think that's gonna help. Like Call of Duty players do like to go back and play the older campaigns. I mean, when they go on sale on Steam, they're in the top sellers all the time. So, aside from just paying for the new Call of Duty, just having access to all those older Call of Duties, I think is going to incentivize quite a few people. I know I'd be incentivized by that, even though we have them on Steam. But like, that's one of the things I like about PlayStation Plus. I think, I have PlayStation Plus Premium. Is like, their whole library is on there. Like, and those games don't really go away very often. I don't feel like. And I'm actually, every time I log in there, I'm actually surprised by like the depth of games I can go back and play. There's all kinds of PS3 games, PS2, PS1. So I'd like to see them, if they're gonna keep expanding the price of Xbox Game Pass, like do more of that. Because right now they only have their first party games, but like man, get some of the older Xbox 360 classics on there. That you can't.
No,
get.
I completely like. Sony's been pretty good at every month they'll throw a couple old games where I'm like, really? Yeah. Like it'll be like, here's Star Wars Demolition. I'm like, okay, weird, but sure. Like this month they just announced Summoner is being put on there, which was an old Volition fantasy RPG that was like a launch game for the PS2 that has been completely memory hold. But I was like, how that game, like the source code for that still exists? And they're just they're putting it on they're putting it on PlayStation Plus. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like that's the kind of I want that weird. Of course, I want the good new games and cool indies, but I also want them to like make me remember games I have forgotten because they were not good enough to be remembered. Like I get excited when those games come.
Get that emulator going, Sony, so I can re-download my PS3 games. I don't want to stream them.
Yeah, it seems all the scuttlebutts saying that Mark Cerny's getting involved. And when Mark Cerny gets involved, you know what happens.
He makes that PlayStation sing.
There's a bunch of nerd shit I don't understand, but then cool stuff happens afterwards. So thank you, Mark Cerny, for your service, for your cervix.
Tried.
I don't think I said for your cervix, but I did not. I want everyone to know I did not say thank you for your cervix. Oh, that's pretty funny. Write that down.
It'd be pretty funny. So if we weren't in our positions doing this job, would you subscribe to Game Pass? Like which tier would you subscribe to?
Ultimate.
Ultimate.
Yeah,
I do play a lot of games on Xbox is my primary platform for non-Nintendo games, and I play a lot of cool games get out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think like people will stop questioning the value so much if Xbox really does hit that target of one big first party game a quarter to keep Game Pass. Like keep a marquee title on Game Pass every quarter. Then you have your niche indie kind of stuff in between, filling in those gaps in between those months. But yeah, I
can't believe how long we talk about this one game a quarter thing.
Yeah, a long time.
It shocks me every time.
I mean, I think it still makes sense, even for the less, the more casual video game enjoyer. Like a couple of people in chat were saying like they don't know how much the value stacks up for someone who's gonna play like at most 3 games a year, or like if they only play like Call of Duty and Madden or something. But like even if those are the only games they play, right? Like Game Pass for the year, I'm really bad at math, so
it's $240. For the ultimate version, it's $240.
$240, right? So otherwise, you'd be paying $70 plus the tax. Let's round it up to like $75 for like those super big quadruple A games that come out every year or whatever, right? You're gonna play those, but what if you wanted to try something else? You just have the option. Like you open up yourself to just more. You could play other shooters. You could play other sports games. You could play whatever big new license thing like Indiana Jones, like Star Wars, whatever that shows up there. You just have access to it. Like even if you're not going to use it, just like a gym membership, you keep it around.
That is true. It's like a lapsed gym membership. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just like it's fine for that to just hang in the background. I think a lot of people were just on guard about it. And I don't know. Like I every time this comes up, I do feel a little bit like a shill, but like it's because there has never been a deal this good for someone who wants to play a lot of video games. Like it just hasn't existed this level of access to games before.
Yeah.
And like it's something that if you love video games, you should 100% be taking advantage of. And I think it's dumb when folks are like, no, don't do that. Like, why?
One difference are the people who are like, I want to live in a physical world. Like, I want to literally own the games I'm playing. I think that's the one.
Okay.
I am not that person anymore.
Mhm.
I was that person. I'm not that person anymore. But for the people who are still that person, I get it.
Buy physical copies of all your racing games. Any game that has licensed stuff in it, buy a physical copy.
Don't play
Unless
racing.
They
you're
can
the crew.
just turn them off from the
Unless
server
you're the
or whatever
crew.
anyway,
Unless
right?
you're the crew. I think I can still play my copy of Drive Club.
Hashtag
I
Drive
hope
Club.
so.
Get it right. Or was it Drive? No, that was watch_dogs. Hashtag Drive
Yeah,
Club and watch
hashtag Drive Club
dogs. I got an email asking for a correction to an article because I didn't put the hashtag before Drive Club.
Oh, I've had that happen.
And you wrote back,
before, too.
no, thank you.
Respectfully, I am not doing that. respectfully, that is stupid, and you were going to change that very soon. And they did. So there you go. Look at us. Will Cooling with a £2 dono. Thank you so much, Will. What's weird is that PC Game Pass still gets day one exclusives. I think I don't know what the deal. I think they feel bad for people who play on their computers.
Well, there's also
yeah, it was like that was answering a specific cry from players. They're like, "Hey, we're not getting anything over here." It's like, "All right,
Yeah.
we'll loop you into the catalog thing." But then the console people was like, "Why I gotta pay this if I don't have a PC?" It's like, "Shit, let's separate it so like this is just for PC."
I think they have to incentivize the PC players more because Steam has such deep discounts all the time.
Because if you own if you have the PC to run Game Pass on PC, you also have a PC to have Steam and can buy the crazy deals. You know, the Steam sales are as good as they were
to get them in there.
before. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. Also taxes. Any final words before we move on to stuff we've been playing and watching? Do you think Nick? Are you? I know Casey and I said we're gonna stick to it. Like, are you gonna stick with Game Pass Ultimate and stuff? Like, are you going down with this ship?
I don't know. I'm not sure actually, to be honest. I've been buying a lot more physical copies of my games, and like, just because, and it has nothing to do with Game Pass. Really, it's me Game Pass, not you. I play so much stuff on my Lenovo Legion Go through Steam that I just, if I want to play an indie game, I play it on that and not Xbox Game Pass at this point.
So if they put Game Pass on Steam Deck,
it works on Legion Go.
It'd be over. I don't want a Legion Go. I'm like one of those people. Why don't you run Linux?
No, you're a PC gamer now. Oh, you use Steam.
I'm Steam Deck gamer.
Where's that dongle? That
Fire Stick
Game Pass dongle. Wait, Fire Amazon has an app now?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, they just announced it
literally
this
just
week.
announced it. Yeah.
Oh, that changes everything.
It's a game changer for you.
See, the only thing with that is I don't know how, because I've messed with that before with like, you could like sideload the Game Pass app onto your TV if you know how to do that, and I'm not sure how well the Xbox controller like connects to the Fire Stick or the TV directly. Did not work well on the TV when I did that. I don't know how well it does it on the Fire Stick.
Yeah, just get a dedicated dongle.
Yeah,
I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
Also, really quick, Speakeasy said, doesn't Steam Deck run on Linux? I'm pretty sure it does.
Twice with your pants down today.
I'm not a nerd. I just opened Steam Deck and I clicked the game I want to play. Except when I had to install all those emulators, and then I was in no man's land. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where I was. I was just like, how do I get my PS2 games on here?
Eric, play the Patrick Star running away with his pants down gif, because that's Marty.
It doesn't do anything to me. I don't know what those are, Nick. I'm not fucking 20.
Casey and I will.
Play a Ren and Stimpy gif and I'll understand it.
There it is.
It's great. Great.
I don't like when Nick asks for Eric to play specific things.
It's an abuse of power. You gotta let that boy cook. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Nick, you don't get to talk about anything because you didn't put anything in the document. So we have a new rule. If it's not in the document by the time we start, you don't get to say anything. So I'm erasing your name here.
Just fully erased it.
Casey, what have you been playing?
There
you
is Nick.
You've been playing that? Oh boy.
Yeah, I tried to start it up like 2 days ago, and it was just down. Like the servers were like just borked to hell. So, and that lasted for hours. So, yeah, so that was my earliest experience with the First Ascendant. I finally managed because I really wanted to have something to talk about today. So I was like, all right, let's give it one more shot. I managed to boot it up. That game is, if you're not aware, it's a third-person looter shooter. It's got like, cool. I think it's a Nexon joint. I think it's a Korean developer.
Yeah, the Nexon.
And yeah, and they got it's like, what do you call it? Like K-pop looking character models. The cinematography and stuff, like the graphics are all like very high quality. But it's very shamelessly kind of a ripoff of all the other looter shooter formulas. Like you're basically like you're on a console, but you're controlling a cursor, right? Like you're selecting your missions. The loot has rarities and stuff. Like it's everything is just very borrowed from other stuff. I don't think it does anything at all new. Like it's a mix of like Warframe and Destiny a little bit. I don't understand the story. Like none of that was like hitting me very hard. But I do like the way it feels. Like the characters are like quick on their feet. The guns feel good. It's got a grappling hook, which it doesn't. I mean, I guess it needs it because there's a good amount of verticality in the maps and stuff. And it's pretty generous. Like you got like 2 charges, you can like swing around, and it reaches a fairly far distance. So to move around, to shoot stuff, that basic loop is fun. The enemies that I've come across so far are very basic though. Like they don't really pose much resistance. Even like the big boss, like I murdered in a flash. And I don't know if it's because I'm still very early in the game and that stuff will like maybe get more complicated or harder. But like first impression is like this is very like turn off your brain kind of stuff, which is not the worst thing in the world. But I heard from some other friends who have spent a little more time with it that it is kind of egregious in terms of what it asks in terms of grind time. So like if you do want to start, leveling your characters up and like progressing and stuff, they'll have you like invest in upgrades that have timers. So like you don't get the thing you worked for immediately. You have to basically start it and then come back like 2-3 hours later or something. And that's always just a pain in the ass.
Feels like it has like a mobile mentality behind it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sort of thing that they'll nickel and dime you to hell over.
Nexon in a nutshell, right?
Right. Yeah. So probably not something I'm going to stick with, but I wanted to just give it a try because like I don't know, I've been hearing about this game for so long and it only finally just released. So yeah, I just want to give it a shot.
Yeah, for us, when I played the beta, like whenever that was, a year or two ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
It was just it was so generic then. I was like, there's nothing I want to play here.
Yeah, it feels like a little like Anthem in that way.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at the stuff that Nexon's released in the last couple of years because it feels like the only thing they've released that has really like made its way into my area of interest was Dave the Diver, which I'm hoping they do more like that and like use their powers for good to make things that Dave the Diver, obviously that was that game we all talked about how this is not an indie game because a giant $1 billion corporation has an internal studio that's making indie adjacent games. But I think it's cool that they use the money they make from these kinds of games I don't care about to fund
make games you do care about.
Like I wasn't even throwing First Ascendant in that mix. I was throwing like a lot of their Part Rider Drift or EA Sports FC Mobile, stuff like that. Stuff that probably makes a shit ton of money, but I'm like, well, okay, good. You invest some of that, launder some of that money into like a charity. Launder it into a charity. So that's always nice. It is gonna be tough. I feel like Warframe is that's definitely one of those games where I like know nothing about it other than it is extremely popular, has gotten very good, and has a very loyal fan base. So like that's gonna be a hard like audience to rip away from there for your other game if it's just kind of like, Warframe but not quite as good.
But like it's gotten a good start. Like First Ascendant, I believe I heard it had like 40 million players like at launch. So
yeah,
it definitely turned a few heads. Like I even decided to give it a try myself, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it did have a lot of marketing. Yeah.
So I'm curious how long they'll hold on to numbers like that. But like there are a lot of people who are enjoying it. Like I've seen those comments and stuff. So I don't know, like maybe it'll have legs, and like there's always potential for it to get better. Like if the nickel and diming is egregious, if that's something that players complain about enough, it might change. Like that has happened in other, kind of greedy ass games. Because I'm not fully against the monetization stuff if you're going to offer a game for free, but like don't shoot yourself in the foot for over this kind of shit. Like,
sure, yeah. You also played a little Zenless Zone Zero, is that right?
Yes,
Talking about
yes. This another big free to play, gotcha filled, blah blah blah. But it is from Hoyoverse, the people who've done Genshin Impact and Honky Star Rail. And honestly, I love their model. Like they have like one of the least intrusive, though very addicting, like monetization styles out there. And I've been able to enjoy tons of hours of their stuff without having to touch any of it. Zenless Zone Zero feels a lot like that in that none of the monetization stuff is in your face at all. Like I actually struggled to find where that list was. And once I was in that list, nothing popped up that said for me to pay money. Like I still haven't, like nothing popped up at any point that was asking for like, hey, if you want, put your own money into this. Like that just has not happened in the amount of time I spent when I think I played like maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours so far. So like, yeah. And like, honestly, it's sort of a lighter game than I think both Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. It's action based, and it's sort of roguelite in the sense that you play like a handler for any number of characters that are going to be on your roster. I only have the starting 3 so far, and like you navigate them through like these sort of these zones that have like the hollows, they call them. They have like these kind of corrupted enemies in there, and they're going in there to complete missions, and you're their handler who like leads them through it and can get them in and out, because like it's a sort of dimensional thing that they can be trapped in and become monsters themselves if they don't have someone looking out for them, right? It's kind of a cool little, very anime latent sci-fi story that very quickly kind of pulled me in. Like it's not doing anything spectacular, but like I do like the characters and their dynamics, and the intrigue that has popped up in the story so far like does have me wanting to see kind of how things progress. And the combat is fun. Like it's simplistic, but it's super flashy. You go in with a team of 3 people, and like you can do basic attacks. You can do a special attack, which changes based on like you can charge up a stronger version of that special attack if you do enough basic damage. And you can do a dash, which doubles as a dodge. And if you dodge at the perfect time, you get like that Bayonetta slow-mo stuff that allows you to like do flashier like counters and like do more damage over time. And since you're on a roster with 3 characters, you can swap anytime you want. If you swap during the windows where you can dodge attacks, that character comes in with a special move as like kind of like a tag battle jump in. And so you can basically do like super flashy, very cool looking combos that incorporate your whole team. And like when you reach another bar in terms of like stunning the enemy, then you can do like an even more hype special. All right, I'm going to tag my partner in, and they're going to come in with a super hype extra move. And then that might charge up their special move, and they do the special move where they get like a whole cutscene that shows them doing something crazy. And then they tag the other person in. Like it gets real chaotic, but nothing felt like, overly difficult, but like it always felt fun. So like I was having a really good time with that, and I was really eager to kind of see more characters because I only have the 3 just now, and just see how different some of these other characters can play. And they let you test out the ones that are available in like a little training section, which I thought was cool as well.
Yeah, I know you mentioned at the top, but like I know there's some people who are like deathly against gacha games and stuff like this that are like, I cannot cross this threshold or I will start on fire like a demon walking into a church. But if you are just like, oh, I don't have a deathly allergy to this, but I don't like the taste of cilantro. These games are the free-to-play gacha games that you can get so much enjoyment of without spending money.
Yeah,
like,
without doing really anything like, financial.
Yeah, it is. And like, I get it. If you are like vehemently against these games at their principles, then just stay away from them.
Yeah,
If you are like,
and
I
that's
want to have
fair.
a good time and I understand that I can control myself and not spend money, then you're gonna get a lot of good games that are inspired by a lot of good games, and with high production values and like shit that looks cool. So yeah, I'm despite not really playing these games, I always kind of have a respect for them because I understand. I'm like, if you're gonna do the free to play gotcha stuff, do it more like them. And I guess it's
Yeah.
like saying, "Oh, my drug dealer is nice." Like, he
But he is nice though.
brings over pastries when he comes
Like,
over.
like, why would you want to deal with a drug dealer who might rob you? Like,
Exactly. So there you go. Yeah. Nick, have you been playing anything?
Yeah.
Games and then we'll do watches.
But yeah, I was actually I was looking away because I was looking at Steam charts trying to see like what Nexon games are actually doing really well. Because they have a lot, and also they've canceled a lot. Like there was one they did that like medieval warfare one, which I actually thought was really fun, and then they canceled it. So like one of the big games that I've seen listed along a lot is like Cartwright Drift. It has 41 players on Steam right now. So guarantee that's going to get canceled within
pretty
the next.
bad.
Is it? Oh yeah, you guys played it for game night, didn't you?
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty bad. We
Wait,
played it for
what
game
game
night back to the Escapist.
Cartwright
Drift.
oh yeah,
Remember we were like
Yeah, that
having the
wasn't great.
hardest time to figure out how to just make it work.
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
And then Maple Story, which is like I think it's kind of like a Stardew Valley-ish MMORPG.
And that's been around forever.
I remember that from like high school.
2000s. Yeah.
It's got about 7,000 people, but yeah, I mean they don't have. I don't. It's gonna be interesting to see if the First Ascendant has a long legs because most of their games kind of do. I mean, a lot of free-to-play games that are flashy do well right at launch, but
And then like
they crash and burn real quick. So I guess we'll see. I mean, the finals is under Nexon 2, and I don't think is doing super hot these days. Let's just see what the player count is.
I think that player base tanked too.
It's actually doing pretty good. Oh wait, that's a playtest. 10,000 players. Yeah, that's not good for their veiled experts. Yeah, most of their stuff is betas. So yeah, I'm curious to see like what Nexon's next few years look like because I feel like they tried to cash in on the live service and I don't think it's worked out for them super hard. Super well, I guess, and then whatchamacallit, Dave the Diver sold extremely well, so I don't know, maybe they start taking all this money and start pivoting.
They keep getting their connections. Dave the Diver plus fucking Dredge, Dave the Diver plus Godzilla. Who's coming next? Deadpool? Deadpool's entering everything. Maybe he's gonna get in there.
He'd do it.
Cartwriter has been around since as long as Maple Store is not getting canceled. Well, Cartwriter was in like beta alpha for a long time. I think the official release only happened a year or two ago.
Nintendo.
I might be wrong on that.
Nintendo should sue them.
There might be a different Cartwriter game.
Yeah, is there a different one? Because that newer one definitely could not have been around as long as Maple Story.
I don't know. But yeah, I feel like a lot of those Korean publishers that are in this space are kind of starting to shift gears a little bit because what the publisher of like Liza P was in this space and has continued to kind of shift towards more premium games. The developers of Crimson Desert, are doing
you talking about Dokkaebi?
Yeah, well, the Pearl Abyss, but they're doing the other game first, Crimson, whatever it's called.
No, that game is just a playable teaser for Dokkaebi, like PT.
Well, if you go to Gamescom, you can play a demo there. And not of Dokkaebi.
Germany.
If Dokkaebi
was at Gamescom, I would go to Germany. If Dokkaebi was at Gamescom, I would legitimately go to Germany.
Oh, Crimson Desert. It's Black Desert. That's the game before Crimson Desert. That's the free to play.
Right. Yes.
But anyways, So it's that market's really interesting to watch because I feel like the Korean market specifically has gone super hard into live service and they just haven't really cracked a ton of it long term. I think. But as far as games I've been playing, gotten back into Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
I was away from my baby for too long, so I've been getting back into that. Keep myself busy in the evenings. So nobody wants to hear about that game though, but I've gone back. I did play.
I want to hear about it.
Casey wants to hear about it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I don't work on it anymore, but I still have memories of what I did.
Did you do any breaching? What hand do you breach with?
I'm a little rusty. Well, none right now. I just can't move. Yeah, I'm a little rusty. I wasn't ready for ranked. I tried to jump right back into ranked, and I got spanked around. So you know what? I'm gonna take my time, get back into it correctly. I don't know what the fuck Eric's showing on the screen.
Yeah, what game
I've
is
never
that?
Seen that.
Rainbow Six.
Is that a siege mode?
That's
Sure.
You don't even know what it is.
Casey, even I know. It's Rainbow
I don't know
Six.
what that is.
I'm just assuming he's showing Rainbow
Did
Six.
he just leak a new game? Oh, it's
Eric
a
knows.
Okay, it's the new Mute protocol. Okay, yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Like,
but yeah, after
what? Yeah, I don't work on Siege anymore, guys.
after last week, where I kind of said I'd have a hard time getting into 2D side-scrolling games, I was like, all right, let me prove myself wrong and see if I can find one I like. And then I loaded up Moonscars, which I think Casey you reviewed.
I did not review that game. I did test it for one of those Steam Next Fest demo streams we did a little while ago.
Yeah, I ended up really liking it. It reminded me a lot of like The Last Faith, if anybody's played that. Both 2D.
I thought those were the same game.
Nope.
You're telling me those
2D,
are the same game?
Eric asked which one. Moon Scars. Moon.
This is why we write down games on the dock, Nicholas.
Yeah, pretty
I was
much.
booking flights.
You never write. What's your excuse every other week?
I was looking to book flights those other weeks. But yeah, it's a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania. And kind of what I brought up last week was, when it comes to Metroidvanias, I don't really like maps that have you do a lot of backtracking and all that, and like get really confusing.
It's not a Metroidvania, though, right?
I guess.
I'm not even trying to be an asshole. Like at that point, if you're not backtracking, it's not a Metroidvania. It's
kind of.
I would say like there's a level of backtracking I can deal with. Like if the map is simple enough and I can remember where things are to go back and doing it. But like Hollow Knight, where it confuses the shit out of me. So this one is like kind of baby's first 2D Metroidvania Souls-like. So if you kind of like Salt and Sanctuary, it's a much more simple game than that. A lot easier. And the bosses are kind of a joke, but they're still fun to fight. I would actually recommend it, and like the art style Moonscars is like just really muted color palette and just really works. So I had a pretty good time with it. There's some secrets I didn't finish out and discover in it, but it's I don't know, it only took me 8 hours to beat, so it's not too much of a commitment either. Good soundtrack. Good soundtrack, interesting story, fun platforming. Nothing too crazy. Nah, like on a toughness scale, it was like Xbox standard level.
I was really confused at first. I was like, Xbox One. I'm like, oh, okay, I got you there. It's like a $15 a month toughness. Can't have day one, but you can get some cloud gaming on it. Yeah. Everyone looks so angry. I'm done with games with the art. Everyone looks so angry. If you can't smile for the art, for the one art photo, what are we doing? You're not having a good time, Moonscar?
I think that would look worse if that man was just smiling.
I'm also one of the games I'm going to talk about features the least smiling man of all time, like a notorious non-smiler.
Ben B says Moonscar's combat got very frustrating towards the end, though. Yeah, so like I posted a tweet yesterday. I was like, there's in every like Souls-like game, there's always that like one random enemy that's not a boss, it's not a mini boss, it's not even like close to a boss. It's just some random fodder guy. And it's the most piece of shit annoying enemy that always kills you.
Like dogs in any FromSoft game.
Yeah, exactly. And in this one, there's like this like stupid charging guy that's extremely easy to parry. But if you parry him and then you're too close to him, he'll immediately charge and the other way and hit you. And that stupid thing was killing me by the end so much. I was getting so angry. I want this game to die. I want this game to be done.
I was saying, there was a couple guys in Metroid Dread where I was like, I'm just done. I'm done with you. Throw any boss at me, but this man, I cannot get through this man.
Yeah. So I start trying to rush through to get to the final boss, and then they just every time I get stuck somewhere, they're like killing me, and I'm just like, you gotta be methodical. You can't let your rage get to you.
No, well, that's how you get the Moonscars.
Remember that advice for real life, guys.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Yeah. Don't drive minivans.
There you go. The two things I've been playing this week were I played through the entirety of Still Wakes the Deep, which Yahtzee did his Fully Rainbow Manic on. I actually haven't watched Fully Rainbow Manic, so I'm assuming he was negative. But I was
not negative on it.
lukewarm positive. The game, I think some of the Still Wakes the Deep is the latest sort of narrative heavy horror game from the Chinese Room, who did Dear Esther, Amnesia, Machine for Pigs, and so this is kind of their wheelhouse. Everybody's gone to the Rapture. This one, you're on an oil rig off the coast of Scotland in the 60s or the 70s, and it's all of a sudden spookies ensue, and you got to try to get off the oil rig and figure out what's going on with the spookies. It's a nice shorty single sitter, like 4 or 5 hours. I get this is always like the worst thing you can say about a game. The gameplay parts of it are the weakest. It's either very simple, or when they do try to have you do something that's slightly beyond simple, it's frustrating. So there's like some swimming puzzles that are extremely annoying. There's some like the actual getting away from the monster stuff is kind of wonky. But the visuals and the atmosphere, like the sense of place that this oil rig has, and then the phenomenal performances, like legitimately some of the best acting and like not so much storytelling, but just moment to moment writing is like stupendous. Like this acting, like impressed me more than something like Hellblade did. A few weeks ago, playing the second Hellblade, which is like a game that's like built on its performances and everything. And Still Wakes the Deep performances were like genuinely incredible to the point where I recommend people go through it just for those. And again, like we were talking about earlier, it is on Game Pass. It is pretty short. If you're
it's a nice get.
How spooky is it? Is it a game I should hold up for Halloween streams?
No, it's not that spooky, especially once you like kind of know what the monster is. And the monster is very much like, oh, you're in a monster zone now. It's not like this sense of dread that wherever you are, there might be a spooky. Like you enter spooky rooms and you have to deal with the spooky. It's much less spooky than like an Amnesia, the Bunker.
The Amnesia's okay.
Like that. Yeah, it's more like interesting. It's kind of like I would say it's sci-fi horror instead of horror sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I just wrapped up yesterday on my personal channel was I finally got around to playing Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, which is the Team Ninja kind of like taking the frame of Neo and building it around Final Fantasy 1. And this game, as its title suggests, acts as kind of a prequel to Final Fantasy 1, but features the main character, Jack, who was notorious for being just the angriest man in video game history, who's obsessed with killing chaos, and who listens to Limp Bizkit and Frank Sinatra on his MP3 player.
That's
literally it is canonical. And I would like to say that
Fred Durst exists in a Final Fantasy universe.
They explain it all. Fred Durst, you can't handle this.
I'm more impressed they explain it.
But it is pretty absurd. I will say it's one of those things where the road to get to the ending is pretty silly. The actual ending itself, and especially if you're a fan of Final Fantasy 1 and like Final Fantasy in general, like the end is like really fucking cool, and how it ties the story together and contextualizes all this shit you've done. Doesn't completely contextualize the Limp Bizkit, but like it makes sense by the end. And I'm told it has really good punishing combat. That is, again, like Neo, like it's very much like you need to learn these enemies, you need to learn these bosses, you really need to engage with all the different jobs and the skill trees and everything and the loot. I say I'm told because I played the game on just the dumbest difficulty possible, and
you didn't even
I want to experience
the main
what it's like. No. I wanted to experience
not even for curiosity.
Yeah. I wanted someone who loves Limp Bizkit that much should be here to just beat the shit out of everything and have nothing stand in his way. And the only thing that stood in my way was an occasional Tonberry that would kill me instantly. And that was a humbling moment to die on not only story mode, but there's a lower than story is casual. So I did casual story.
Oh, Marty.
And still died.
Great game. Tonberries don't care what difficulty you're on. Which shout out to Tonberries.
Tonberries be like that. I've heard about that.
On like the story difficulty and all that? Is it just more of like a straight up flashy action game at that point?
I played it like a muso. Honestly, I just ran. I just kept spamming attacks, and it was fun. And it totally worked. It totally got me through the game. So, yeah, I will not speak up the gameplay, but as a big Final Fantasy fan and someone who played Final Fantasy 1 last year, it's like a really interesting companion piece to it. So, overall, a thumb up for the dumbest game alive.
So
There's
you
gotta
never,
be dumb.
you never played that one when it originally came out. You skipped it.
I played the demo of it,
Okay.
but no, I never like sat down and like played it. I think it was back when I was still freelancing for The Escapist, and so I was like, unless I'm getting paid, I'm not playing you.
So long
So
ago.
that was my mindset. We were babies back then. Have you guys been watching anything? Anything stand out?
Yeah, we were on this Korea tip. I realized I continued to do that with the stuff I was watching because I started checking out that reality show Physical 100.
Oh yeah,
It's on Netflix. It's just got the most jacked human beings you've ever seen in your life. Like a whole 100 of them competing in like these sorts of. There's going to be a string of physical challenges. I've only watched the first 3 episodes, so they only got to finish the initial challenge, which was they had 2 sets of 50 of the group like hang just for as long as they possibly could from like these sorts of like parallel bars, rafter things. And so they gather just people who focus on their bodies from just all walks of life. There are soldiers, there are emergency like mountain climber people, there are Instagram, like not Instagram, like YouTube fitness gurus or whatever. They're like there's a cheerleader out there. There's an actual world champion boxer who is just a contestant, as well as a well-known MMA fighter out there who's just full on competing in this. A Korean baseball player was out there as well. So like they really just grabbed like it's not a reality show that just gets nobodies. Like this was like an event over there, and like it's so interesting. Like the whole idea was like I gotta get wedding ready, so like I gotta go to the gym, I gotta eat better. This is supposed to be like encouragement,
inspirational,
right? Yeah, and it's like it is wild to see how dedicated these people are to fitness, and then to see them still have those same issues. Like shit, I didn't do enough because this guy over there is kicking my ass in all these ways that I didn't think about. Like there are a lot of bodybuilders who are like, yeah, I'm gonna get like this perfect physique and realize that they don't have any strength, that they can't do anything with their muscles.
Called glamour muscles.
Yeah, because like the people who like the dude who won like that first challenge beat an Olympic gold medal gymnast because he just climbs mountains for work. Like he rescues people off the side of mountains. Like that's his job.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. It's a really crazy concept and like a very interesting competition piece. And yes, I have been going to the gym. It's on Netflix. Yes, I have been going to the gym in part thanks to this show. Like it has inspired me to like get back to my shit. Like me and my kid.
On
like,
the American Physical 100 remake.
No, I don't think I'll get that far.
I'm assuming they're going to make an American version of it, right?
They will, absolutely. I hear this is like super popular. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, America will copy everything, absolutely everything. So I don't.
I'm excited to see what kind of weird BC celebrities they get on it that we recognize.
To match what this show is doing. You need to get folks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh wow! Like, I'm looking. There's certain people who are like rappers though. There's rappers. There's MMA fighters. So I want old wrestlers.
Sure, yeah, a lot of those. Yeah, just people who you would recognize as being like, okay, this is an embodiment of physicality, of like strength and muscle, whatever. Like men and women as well. Like there are a lot of women, lots of women representation out there as well. Like they were like professional wrestlers. Oh my god, it's a crazy ass concept that I'm totally tuned into right now.
Since you
who would be the biggest get for the show in America? Obama.
Obama's not jacked though.
You don't know that. You never seen Obama without a shirt. I think we've seen Obama without a shirt.
I guess I haven't seen Obama without a shirt.
I think he's in good shape for people his age.
They need to get post Batman Christian Bale.
Ooh, so they need to travel through time.
just see what those muscles do.
He's a different man now.
I mean, Obama's probably the most fit president we've ever had.
Yeah. What if there was like one dude who was just like, oh yeah, I used to like fucking lift bales of hay every day. Lincoln with a 6-pack.
Well, he was a vampire
tall.
slayer.
See, there you go. Honest Abe. Look at him. There he is. Hashtag my president. Look at that body. Nick, sorry. What were you talking about?
Since Casey brought up mountains, I just wanted to share a very random fact.
Fun fact.
How much trash do you think is on Mount Everest?
There's trash on Mount Everest? I would have said none, is what I think.
That's what I would have said yesterday.
No, I think when you get up to the, like, I think I've seen pictures up at the top that it's like fucking filthy near the top, right? Because people, whatever they bring up there, they're like, well, I'm not carrying this down. They just leave it.
Yeah. So I guess they removed 24 tons of trash, and there's still 40 to 50 tons more to remove. 40 to 50 more tons to remove.
Like humans are putting all this trash on it? Why do all these people go to Everest?
I admit. But
people are the worst.
There's like a camping
I thought it was hard to
spot.
climb Mount Everest.
No, you just walk up it. It's no big deal. There's not like a
There's like
zone
rich
called the
people
Death
who like
Zone
you
or
get a
anything.
Sherpa. I think you get a Sherpa and they do a lot of the work for you. It's not like you are exonerated from any of the work, but yeah.
But yeah,
that's right, Cody. There are a lot of bodies as well.
Yeah, there's lots of frozen bodies up there from like decades ago.
Are they counting that as trash? Is that some of the weight?
I mean, I guess it depends what kind of person you were, but yeah.
If they left all that trash up there, they're that kind of person.
We're all going out for laughing at that. That's fine.
I'm not trying to climb a mountain. I ain't out here trying to climb a mountain. It's not on me. You watch anything else?
Oh yeah, I watched Inside Out 2 over the holiday weekend.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I also liked it a lot. Like the first movie I thought was okay, like stronger premise than it was a story. But I feel like the story in this one carried a lot more of the plot than just the premise. Like it's a fun premise, but now they had a story that kind of like really sucked me into it on both ends, on the teenager Riley's situation, and then also like the inner conflict of
all the emotions.
Yeah, all the emotions. Because I think in the first movie you were stuck with Joy alone for most of it. Yeah, so like you really didn't get to see that ensemble like play off each other a ton, and they fixed that fully with this. And then they doubled it actually. Like, you got to see 2 sets of like an ensemble cast play off each other. It was a really fun time. I really liked it.
Yeah, that's one of the. I'm weirdly torn on Pixar sequels because I am always in the camp of like I want to see original things, but at the same time, we've seen with their sequels that they can sort of, if the first movie gets the world building and rules down and throat clearing and everything, then a sequel is able to come along and just hit the ground running. And I feel like we saw that with Toy Story 2 and even Incredibles 2, and so like
Incredibles 2
this felt like
phenomenal.
And this felt like that example of them being able to not have to explain how all this stuff is working, and they can just kind of just go with it. And so I was really impressed by it, and also made a shit ton of money. So
it's like their highest it's like their highest grossing thing now. Like it just beat something else. Incredibles 2. It just beat Incredibles 2 for highest grossing Pixar movie, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, which is wild. Yeah, past $1 billion. So yeah, good.
Good stuff. I want to see Incredibles 3 though.
I imagine they're gonna go back to that. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying what?
I feel bad. I feel bad that like because I don't have like any younger siblings. I'm an only child. Like there was a time in my life where I just stopped watching any of these movies, and I've never even seen Frozen.
That's the thing. Like you don't have to have a younger anyone to watch.
No, I know. But it just like I don't know. There was just a point in my life that I stopped watching them.
But you can just start. Like all the stuff is on Disney Plus, whatever.
That's
you
true.
can just start. Like these movies are still good.
Stuff to watch. I'm
you're
waiting for
just
Shrek
keep
5
making
in 2026. Yeah, I'm waiting for Shrek 5 in 2026, and then I'll buy it, and then I'll keep it in the shrink wrap for a year.
Why did they announce that movie so early?
It's a big deal.
But
I feel like you got
it
Cameron
would still
Diaz
be a
coming out
big
of
deal.
retirement.
I don't think
It would still be a big
Shrek.
deal an hour, like a year from now, wouldn't it?
I don't even think I watched Shrek Forever After.
3 and 4.
Yeah, I don't think
were
most
pretty
people
bad.
did. Yeah, I don't think most people did.
So why is it a big
Yeah.
deal? Because the last two were bad.
But I mean, 1 and 2 are like beloved, and so people think, all
Yeah.
right, they took a little time off. The Puss in Boots movie was really good. The last one.
Yeah,
so
Puss in
they're coming
Boots
back
movie
with-
was amazing. So you know what? Fuck it. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet either. It's on Netflix. Well, that movies I haven't watched,
Yeah.
but I did watch Extraction 2.
the most important movie. The most important movie there is. Last night I rewatched Twister in anticipation of Twisters, which is coming out soon. And let me tell you guys, Twister holds up. That movie is extremely dumb, but it is just like 10 minutes of hanging out with every character actor you can possibly imagine, and then a sick ass set piece where a tornado tears some shit up. And then the characters make terrible decisions, and then they go to the next set piece and a tornado tears some more terrible shit up. Like it is just like a perfect summer blockbuster. And I was like putting myself back in the mindset of like, you're in the theater in the mid to late 90s and you see this shit. It is the most amazing looking thing. Like they put a tornado in a movie. These people are gonna die. They're gonna kill Helen Hunt, America's sweetheart. Whereas now you just like roll your eyes because every movie just has like $300 million worth of CG apocalypse. So it's like, you know,
So you're
not
predicting
really.
how you're gonna feel when you watch Twisters 2.
I'm excited about Twisters. Twisters is getting good reviews.
Is it really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I didn't
yeah.
see the reviews.
It's got like an absolute pedigree of both like huge rising actors and the director of a movie that came out a few years ago called Minari, which was like an Academy Award nominated like indie drama. And I was like, why is this dude doing Twisters next? Like, oh no, he did it. He did a good tornado movie. So yeah,
You must have just had a strong ass idea.
I'm on Team Tornado. Let me say,
Glenn Powell's in it too, right?
You don't want to be on
Yeah.
Team
Yeah,
Tornado.
he's Hollywood's
I'm on
new-
Team Tornado.
Glenn Powell's Hollywood's new sweetheart.
He is. I mean, he's been
That's
knighted
crazy.
pretty
'Cause I don't
much
even
by-
know who Glenn Powell is.
I didn't know who
by
he
Tom
was
Cruise.
until I knew he existed. I just
Let me
He was
look
in
at
that
Glenn
Sydney
Powell.
Sweeney movie from last
anyone-
year.
Oh,
anyone
that
but-
guy.
anyone but
Okay.
you?
That guy.
Yeah.
He's in
All right.
Hitman.
I know who
Hitman
Sydney
movie
Sweeney
talked
is.
about
What was he in before Anyone But You?
He's been a lot. He was in Top. He's like played the kind of foil in Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, that's where
like
I
not the quote unquote bad guy. But,
I haven't watched Top Gun Maverick yet. I just knew he was.
He was in. He was also in. He was in. I believe he was in one of the Spy Kids films as well as a child. So shout out to the Spy Kids. I hope they're all doing well.
Is it? Didn't they reboot that on Netflix? Isn't it a TV show now?
Yeah,
Or is
there was some sort
is
of
it
like
out?
continuation of like connected. It wasn't like a reboot. It was a sequel thing that was like in the same universe. It was bad.
Spy Kids Armageddon. Oh God. Even though art.
Oh,
looks
that
bad.
says September 22nd
This year,
last
Which
year.
one do we think?
Last year.
of last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see that.
it got a nice 4.3 on IMDb.
I mean, those movies were always bad, right?
They were
Right.
always kind of bad. Yeah.
Like, are
Absolutely
we?
always kind of bad.
Is it okay for us to say that now? Because I know folks look at
Not
upon
around
them
like
fondly.
I think Frost is of the age. Like I feel like Frost and Will is their favorite shit ever. Like they live and
That's
die
just
by the
Antonio
Spy Kids
Banderas, and I get it because
I'm the
like
same
Antonio
age as
Banderas
them.
is that dude.
Live and die by the Spy Kid code.
I the only time I remember watching Spy Kids is when I had to go in for my heart checkup. They always had it on for some reason. I was like, I really don't want to watch this. Can you put like anything
That
else?
was
on?
medically proven to be a baseline heartbeat film.
Yeah,
If you watch
it
that,
calms
you
your
will
heart.
never be excited, but you will never be so bored that it goes off
Your
the
heart,
edge. You will be
yeah, if your
consistent.
heart's beating too fast in this movie, it's time for that surgery, bud.
Yeah. If Spy Kids is getting you excited, then God knows what's going on. Awesome. You guys want to wrap it up there?
Have you still not started the Acolyte?
Sure. Oh, I haven't either, no.
Yeah, we talked about the Acolyte last week.
Oh, on the rewind, right?
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
last week on
Rewind
this
was
show,
this
we
week.
talked about the Acolyte.
Oh shit!
We
All right.
literally talked about the Acolyte last week on this show.
Yeah, I just keep forgetting you haven't started it yet because you haven't watched that or The Boys yet.
I've watched all of the Acolyte. I have not started
okay.
The Boys.
Okay, I had them flip flop.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the latest episode?
Fine. I think every episode of the show is just like an 80-mile-an-hour ball down the middle. It is totally fine. Like, it is not surprising me whatsoever. But I think it is occasionally pretty. I think the fight choreography can at times be quite good. I think it makes 2 really cool decisions an episode, and then makes 5 really boring decisions an episode. I think it's just totally. It is the Spy Kids of the Star Wars universe. It is keeping my heart right at that middle level, which is fine.
Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
we can end the discussion there. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Had to do it for George Lucas.
I don't even know
Say
if George
something
Lucas has
about
watched it.
I don't even know if he's in here. I don't think. Oh no, he's up there. I see him.
He's too afraid. He's too afraid to watch The Acolyte. And before we wrap things up, Alaric with a $2 dono. Thank you so much, Alaric. How long until Game Pass introduces ads mid-game?
If you play no, I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm like,
I bet you the next GTA is gonna have ads in game to help pay for that game. Like, there's gonna be billboards
I don't
with
think
ads.
Rockstar wouldn't do. EA would. I mean, I'm surprised there's not more
GTA
billboards.
Online. GTA Online will have.
EA has already done this, and it was good. In Fight Night Round 3, there were actual
ads. You can put anything on the boards there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can do this in games, and it can make sense, and it can be fine, and it can subsidize the cost, and everybody's happy. Like, you don't like this doesn't need to be a bad thing. It can be a thing that works. It's just people always take shit to the freaking extreme and screws it up. Like, if you put an ad in the middle of gameplay, that is just uncategorically bad. But if you do what EA did with Fight Night Round 3, the freaking Burger King, the literal Burger King mascot comes out as your ring man, and that's fucking hilarious. And the ring has a Burger King logo in the middle of it, and then they tell you on the little bumpers and on the arena thing or on the outside in the real world arena that you're in that a movie's coming out this Thursday. And they just show you the fucking trailer, and it's like, shit, that's cool as hell. It's just like when I'm watching boxing.
Yeah, and I mean NBA 2K does the Jake from State Farm shit. Like,
yeah. It can work. It can work.
PlayStation Home like show some movie trailers in there. You can go watch in a theater with people.
But that wasn't even really a video. I don't know what PlayStation Home was supposed to be.
Sad. It was just sad.
That was a sad place.
It was a very sad place, especially with how many E3 press conferences where they'd be like, "All right, for the next 20 minutes, we're going into the home to talk about things." Don't go there.
Wait, yeah, I forgot. You just rewatched all those. That had to be fucking
They're great.
painful. That and the Connect presentations had to be the most painful things to rewatch.
Connect was cool. They just lied though. Like, it just wasn't what they showed us. It was not even close to what they showed us.
It wasn't real, but it was sick as hell.
The future.
That's funny as hell. Awesome. We'll wrap things up there.
Was Connect Siri before Siri was Siri?
A little bit more like Alexa before Alexa was Alexa.
No, sorry, it was no, there were no voice commands with PlayStation Eye. But there was
it was called PlayStation Eye.
Well, damn it! All right, end the podcast.
I'm just saying, it was named one thing for a reason.
What was the camera before Xbox Connect? The big long one that.
That was Connect.
It was just called Connect.
Was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had Connect.
And then the Xbox One was the bigger, like square one.
Yeah, the square one. Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. That does it for us. You're Connect historians. You're absolute Connect historians. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Firelink. We have a lot of great stuff coming up for you this week. Tomorrow, we should have a pair of streams. Jack and I believe at noon, are going to be playing more Elden Ring. And then Casey and I at 7 p.m. Central, we'll be jumping back into DMC's DLC.
Yeah.
Friday, Nick, it sounds like you're going to be doing Call of Duty again with us.
Russ and I will start Call of Duty 2 finally.
Excellent.
Like a month and a half.
Oh yeah. And then like I mentioned, definitely check out the Rewind. Our first episode was live yesterday morning at noon. We're going to be every other week, every other Tuesday at that noon slot. I had a really fun conversation about just all the media we've been consuming in 2024, all the movies and TV and stuff. And just hearing Darren and Jack is just an absolute delight. So tune that out. Casey, what do you got going on?
The usual. Should have a review dropping probably sometime next week. Like you mentioned, I'll be on the DMC stream. And the wedding streams are back on my personal channel. So you can join me, my son, and my fiance playing through probably the end of Little Kitty Big City. It's been a delight so far. We're doing all the voices for all the fun animal characters in that game. So we're having a blast. Yeah. And outside of that, just follow Twitter for any updates on other stuff. Super Smash Sunday. I keep forgetting to plug Super Smash Sunday. It's on Sunday. Show up. Have fun.
Did you see
About
that
it.
supposedly Riot canceled a Smash like game in the League universe? Like they were internally working on a fighting game that was, because they have that one
platform
fighting game that's
fighter?
coming out.
Mhm.
Yeah, a platform fighter
Yeah.
that was compared to
Project
Melee.
L was the one they were doing, right?
Yeah, and apparently they had like 70 people working on it, and they shelved it for one reason or another.
Shoot, it must not have been good. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the case. It could be 100
Sometimes
other
people
reasons.
make bad decisions. Yeah. And then Nick, what do you got going on?
Yeah, no impact for me tomorrow because I literally did not leave my bed yesterday. My neck hurt so bad. I could not sit up without being in pain. So no impact this week, but yep, I'll be back to play Call of Duty 2 Friday. I may do a solo stream tomorrow night after they're done with DMC to play some more Siege or something, but if not, I'll start my
Did you play that
personal
colorful thing
streams.
that Eric showed us?
Oh
The
yeah,
little thingy in the
the
corner.
mute protocol event.
Oh, yeah. I'll figure out my personal streams whenever they might be, and then, of course, I think we're doing a game night this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Oh yeah, if we are, please tell me what time that is.
Yep, I know. I'm a day behind on everything, so we'll get there.
And Sean Harriman says Dokapon streams when we are going to schedule them. It has been tough because Frost and Jesse were out last week. I'm going to be out 2 weeks from now. We're going to try to get them in by the end of July. We'll either have done it or we'll tell you when we're going to do it.
Yeah, because
I feel like that's an achievable goal.
Quarter
That
of the
shouldn't
team
be
is going
too
to
hard.
PAX West in August. We'll be doing our first community and meetup too.
Yeah, that'll be the at the end of August, beginning of September. So we'll have more info on that closer to then. Excellent. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, KC. Thank you, Eric, behind the scenes, of course. This was Firelink episode number 28. I hope you all have a great rest of the night, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.